Hello, my name is Kevin Breslin. I'm going to tell you how I met my fiancée, Elizabeth Smith.
7 years ago, my 19-year-old brother BJ was killed. He was robbed for his bike and his jewelry. And from, that tragedy, I actually went down to the beach because he had such a love for the beach, and I wrote his name in the sand. And with the wave coming up, I took a picture of it, and I used that as his funeral card. From there, it took off, and I started to personalize them. So many people started to order them, and 7 years later, I sell hundreds of them a year.
I direct television commercials and documentaries for a living. On 9/11/01, I was working on the New York Lotto commercials, If I Had $1 Million. I came out to Rockaway, and I saw there was a church, St. Francis de Sales Church, and there were a lot of women all standing in front of it, and they all looked very unhappy and all together, huddled together, and I'll never forget that image. Somebody from Oxygen had seen some of our work and said, "Wow, we like that, it's a woman's story, could you make it?" I said, "I think so." So my sister and I came down here, and we went up and down every street, banging on doors, looking, trying to get people to talk to them.
And he was actually in a friend of mine's house who lost her brother. He was a fireman. And he saw one of my beach writings up on the wall.
I said, "Well, that's a beautiful thing. Who did that?" And she said, "Oh, a woman, Liz Smith, did it. She's an artist down here. She did that." And I said, "Well, that's very beautiful." And I said to the producer with me at the time, "Let's go find Liz Smith and get her to do the titles for us."
He called and told me who he was, said that he had seen my beach writing and that he was doing a documentary on the women of Rockaway, and he was interested in meeting with me because he'd like to use some of my photography for the film. So I was like, sure, I thought that was great.
So we came down to meet her. And we had found out that she too had lost her boyfriend, Mike Andrews.
So then I became part of the documentary. So I got to work with both Kevin and Rosemary over a summer.
We got to know each other, just little by little, as friends. Because, when you come back and you talk to her, ask her some more questions, and she revealed herself, and she seemed like a really nice person. Smart and tough, but nice.
He used to come to the house, and he would come early in the morning. And I was not the most, friendly in the morning. I was just oh God, grumpy. And he would show up with a Starbucks coffee for me, and I was like, all right, what do you want?
I liked Liz, but I figured, oh boy, that's sad. And so I finished the movie and, just kept in touch with her from a distance. Every once in a while I'd check in with her, or if I'd swing by, I'd say, "I wonder how Liz is doing." If I see if her car was there, maybe I'd stop by, just a quick hello, and that was it. It was like one of those things I hope she's okay in life.
I was doing everything on my own at that point. I was, the person that I was supposed to marry and I was going to marry had died.
She just always stayed in my mind.
And we really didn't reconnect until 2 years later. He called me up and he was just, "Hey, how are you? What are you doing?"
She goes, "Oh, I'm just home." I said, "Well, you want to go for dinner?"
I was like, "Go to dinner? I'm in my pajamas."
I said, "So what? Get dressed. I'll pick you up in half an hour."
Then we went out to dinner again the next week. And like I said, a friendship developed, which was really nice.
She's truthful, but very direct, no nonsense, and we're buddies.
I remember that one specific date where the light bulb went off, and I was like, "Oh, I think I like him." And it was cute. And then I kissed him. I can't say enough about him in the sense that he is just the most caring, unselfish, down-to-earth, stand-up guy. Well, he had a whole thing planned for a Sunday day on the beach and then dinner, and he had to work.
She was at the computer doing her work, and Liz is always with her orders, with the beach writing on the computer, and I just said, "Stop for a moment."
And I turned around, he was on one knee, and he had the ring, and he's like, "I thought this would look really pretty on your hand as you were typing." And I was like, "Oh my God." And I'm like, "You're not giving this to me right now."
And I said, "This is the greatest place in the world for you. It's either the beach or your computer."
And And then he was like, will you marry me? And he's like, I couldn't hold on to this. It was in my pocket, out of my pocket, in the car, out of my car.
And she was happy. She put it on, oh my God, and then she called her mom.
He's like, okay, well, I love you, but I got to go to work. Life is meant to be shared with someone.